Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel if you've seen my videos before, and if not, welcome. My name is Jacqueline and I have just finished my first semester of the Masters of Social Work Advanced Standing program at my school. So this video is going to be all about my first semester of that program, and I really hope it helps those of you that are looking to go into a Masters of Social Work program or just looking to go into social work in general. So for reference, I go to college in the New England area of the United States, and this might not be every single college's program's outline, but I will be going off of my experience today. If you haven't seen my other videos, I will link my social work playlist below. It is videos about being in the BSW program. So for this semester, it went from the usual fall, September month to the end of November, first week of December. The semester was pretty difficult, I won't lie. There was a lot of work involved, but I also took 5 classes. Based off my personal experience, I was going to school full-time, and that meant 5 classes. I believe that was like 15 or 16 credits. But yeah, and plus you throw in all the personal stuff you're going to be going through as well. Like I'm planning a wedding and, you know, still being able to see your family and your friends and have a life outside of school is also something to consider. So like I said, I was in 5 classes. I did 20 hours a week of interning, which was the required amount. I also did a homelessness outreach. So I will get into that part a little bit later. In my school, you either go down the clinical path or the macro path, and I chose clinical. My 5 classes were field education, seminar, clinical social work, case evaluation and consultation, a homelessness elective, and differential diagnosis. I'm going to go through these 5 classes very briefly so you get a little overview of maybe what to expect in your future MSW program. So the field education seminar is basically the field class that is attached to your internship. And basically what you would normally do here is talk about your internship while you're in that class. My professor had made this class an option to be hybrid, so you could either come to class or not come to class and do the assignment online, and that led a lot of people to not come to class in person. So I did, because I do get a lot out of going to class and talking to people, and there was only ever like 1 or 2 people there with the professor. So I wish I did get more out of it, because I think listening to other people's internships and their questions and their concerns and getting the professor's input on what they're going through is very helpful. And I didn't really get that this semester. But the professor herself was very smart and had a lot of great experience. So I did get a lot from her. She gave us a lot of articles every time we went in, so we got to read some stuff on whatever topic we were going over. One week was a topic on safety and social work. Another one was like workplace bullying or workplace horizontal violence, things like that. So every week had like a different topic. The assignments basically consisted of 5 mini papers, so it was like 1-page papers on whatever was happening in our internship. Also, we had like a final self-assessment paper at the end, so we kind of assessed ourselves on how we did that semester. And the big, I think, thing was a learning contract. So if you have not heard of a learning contract, you may get one of these in your field class. It's basically what you're going to be doing that semester, or what you are doing according to what the school is looking for requirement-wise for the social work program. So like the 9 competencies of what the Masters of Social Work program is looking for you to accomplish, kind of laying it out on the contract as to how I'm doing that. So yeah, that was a pretty simple class. The next class I'll talk about is clinical social work. So as I said, I chose the clinical path, and this class was all about specifically clinical social work. So I got a lot out of this class. The professor had a lot of experience and he was very knowledgeable. We did very brief SBIRT work, so that is screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment. I believe that's what that stands for. We did a lot of work on assessments and intervention plans and things like that. We did also a lot of work with just clinical one-on-one work. So he would teach us some skills on how to use in a therapy session, one-on-one with clients, that type of thing. We also talked about some disorders, a little bit about medications, a little bit about like the client-worker relationship and a therapeutic alliance that entails. We also worked on like use of self and kind of just identifying our own values and morals and how that applies to our work and how it could affect it. Something that my school does that I think is really cool that we got to experience in this class is that our professor hired actors. So outside actors came in and portrayed a client. And if anyone hasn't done this before, I highly recommend it, or to bring it up to your instructor. But yeah, just hiring actors that really played the part of clients. Like when I say really played the part, like I had an actor that broke down crying, like actually multiple times, in another class as well that I'm going to talk about. But the actors are so good, they really portray what a client really would be saying and doing in a therapy session. So I thought that was like really helpful, really awesome, kind of put you on the spot in front of your fellow students, but it was really great. So I think the actors that were hired, really cool. Also had a midterm paper and a final paper, and those papers were based off of a case study of a client we're working on. Obviously not disclosing their personal information. We would change their name and change some factors in there in the paper that didn't disclose who they were, so we could kind of go off of what we're really working on and learn from it, but we never disclosed the client, obviously. A lot of the papers, at least I found in my program, revolved around case studies and things that you're currently working on, so you would never disclose the client's information, but it was papers all about an actual client you're working with. Definitely way more specific than a bachelor's of social work class. If you watch my other videos, you'd know that a BSW undergrad degree is very generalist, whereas the MSW program gets more specific, and this class really did cover that. So the next class that I will be discussing was called differential diagnosis, and this was basically going over the chapters in the DSM-5, which is the diagnosis manual that social workers use to diagnose mental disorders. So we went over the chapters in that and discussed mental disorders. And that was really interesting because I had never had any classes on the DSM or really how to read it or go through it. So this class did that, and it was really awesome. Differential diagnosing is basically determining out of all the symptoms, which diagnosis it is. Some diagnoses and disorders do have similar symptoms, and it's really important to diagnose the right one, obviously, because different things have different treatments. That class, they did hire actors as well. So again, that was just super interesting. We went over diagnoses and disorders. The assignments basically just was a few papers, and again, all relating to clients. So yeah, there's not really a whole lot to talk about with that class. It was basically just all about the DSM-5 and diagnosing and things like that, but it was really interesting and going to be super helpful when I graduate. The clinical evaluation and case consultation. This class was all about one big paper, so it was a lot of like research. We did this whole paper for this one semester, and basically it was about a client and coming up with an intervention to help this client, and then you would write about it. So for instance, we did like a literature review and looked at the literature on the specific intervention that we used to treat this client, and then we wrote in the paper of how it worked and if it was effective. It was kind of like a research-oriented class, which, before I forget, the 4 classes that I just named will be rolling into next semester, so it will be a continuation of those 4 classes. Next semester I'll be taking 5 as well, and the only thing that will change will be the elective. My program, we do have to take a total of 3 electives. This semester my elective was homelessness. I was interested in it because I had actually never had anything taught to me about homelessness. So overall, I just got a lot out of this class. It was just general, broad homelessness education. For example, one of the biggest things I took away was not saying homeless people or a homeless person, because that does kind of make it seem like that's their whole identity. The wording of people experiencing homelessness, or that person is experiencing homelessness, makes more sense and is a lot better of a term, because they are just experiencing the homelessness. They are not the whole identity of them being homeless. So yeah, that's a major takeaway. The wording and language you use in social work, I think, is super important. So the homelessness class came with some requirements to do some homelessness outreach. I went out with my teacher and went on to the downtown area of the city that I go to school in, and the teacher worked with an organization to help end homelessness along with being a teacher. So she knew a lot of the people experiencing homelessness on the street, and we went around and spoke with them, talked to them, see if they needed anything. A lot of these social work classes, you're gonna probably learn about barriers that face your clients, and hopefully you'd learn how to break them down. Fighting and advocating was definitely part of the education for this class. Like policy work, I find super interesting. I like macro stuff. I chose the clinical path, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to ever do any type of macro work, because I do think that both are super important. I recommend taking electives that you don't know a lot about, because it really does like open up a whole world, and I will be taking this information with me wherever I go, with whatever agency I work in, with whatever population I work in, whether it's homelessness or not. I will take a lot of the education that I learned from this class. So the final portion of this video, hopefully it's not too long, basically just has to do with my internship. And just as a really quick overview, I intern at a high school, and that's 20 hours a week. So that was part of my semester as well. I think a lot of social work programs do internships. So yeah, I do have a video that I will also link below regarding some experience that I've had in my internship from my BSW year and some tips to go with that. I don't know if I explained this in the beginning, but an advanced standing program is basically jumping to the second year of a normally 2-year master's program. So usually a lot of master's programs, at least the one at my school, would be normally 2 years. The first year is the foundation year. The advanced standing year is basically cutting your 2-year degree down to 1, which is great. And I am so grateful that I was picked as one of them. I highly recommend an advanced standing program if your college offers it. It saves time, it saves money, and it's just, you kind of just jump in, which is also, I think, part of the overwhelming feelings that I had this semester, because it is just jumping into a second year of a master's program. Haven't got the final ones back yet, but from what I know, I did get good grades. I gained so much from this semester alone, and I can't wait to see how the second semester goes next month. So if you have any questions or I didn't answer something fully, please leave them down below in the comments, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. I really hope that this helped you, and I hope it gave some insight to people. That's what I want to accomplish with this YouTube channel and these videos. So yeah, I hope this helped and you like this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more content, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.